Javier is a manager at a large aerospace company. He recently received some honest feedback from a member of his team and realized it is difficult for him to keep his emotions in check and recognize the emotions of his team members. This issue diminishes his team's effectiveness and performance, and he wants to do something about it. Penny, one of Javier's peers, is known for her diplomatic approach to leadership, so he reaches out to her for some advice. Penny suggests that Javier start developing his emotional intelligence. Penny directs Javier to an article by John D. Mayer and Peter Salovey that defines emotional intelligence as the ability to perceive and express emotion, assimilate emotion in thought, understand and reason with emotion, and regulate emotion in the self and others. Penny also points Javier to the work of Daniel Goleman, who identified 5 components of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skill. Self-awareness involves recognizing which emotions you are experiencing, why you are experiencing them, and how those emotions affect those around you. Self-regulation is the ability to take control of negative emotions, keep them in check, suspend judgment of them, and think before acting. Motivation is the desire to pursue and achieve goals with an optimistic attitude. Empathy is the ability to recognize and understand other people's emotions. And social skill involves managing relationships and building rapport with the people around you. After exploring these concepts and discussing them with Penny, Javier realizes that his team's diminishing performance is a direct reflection of his own negative emotions during the past few months and his unwillingness to acknowledge the emotions of his team members. This combination of factors has damaged his team. This is an important revelation. Javier thinks negative emotions lead to negative results. And then he asks himself, could positive emotions lead to positive results? He decides to find out. Javier sets 3 immediate goals for himself. Begin to identify the emotions he experiences and why he feels them. Strive to empathize with and acknowledge his team members' emotions, and lead with optimism rather than pessimism. During the next few weeks, he discovers that some of the negative emotions he had brought to work stemmed from issues he was having outside of work. He acknowledges this problem and makes a personal commitment to keep non-work-related issues out of the workplace. Javier's team members begin to notice a difference in how he interacts with them. Javier often asks for their opinions and acknowledges how they feel about the issues and challenges they face as a team. Through more reading, further discussions with Penny, and conscientious practice, Javier distills what he has learned about emotional intelligence into a 3-word phrase: recognize, regulate, react. He tells Penny, first, I recognize my emotions and the emotions of those around me. Then, I regulate any negative or disruptive emotions that my teammates and I may be experiencing. I want to reach a place of calm, mutual understanding, before we react to whatever situation or decision we are facing. Strong leaders such as Penny, and soon Javier, know that emotions are a part of being human, and that properly channeled emotions can have a positive impact on personal, team, and organizational performance. By exploring and acknowledging his own emotions, empathizing with his team members, and developing his emotional intelligence, Javier steers his team to a successful quarter.
Emotional intelligence refers to how well we handle ourselves and our relationships. There are 4 domains: self-awareness, knowing what we're feeling, why we're feeling it, which is a basis of, for example, good intuition, good decision making. Also, it's a moral compass. The second part is self-management, which means handling your distressing emotions in an effective way so that they don't cripple you, they don't get in the way of what you're doing, and yet attuning them to them when you need to so that you learn what you must. Every emotion has a function. Also, marshaling positive emotions, getting ourselves involved, enthused about what we're doing, aligning our actions with our passions. The third is empathy, knowing what someone else is feeling. And the fourth is putting that all together in skilled relationship. So that's what I mean by emotional intelligence. There are many definitions out there. The part of the brain, it turns out, that supports emotional and social intelligence is actually the last circuitry of the brain to become anatomically mature. And because of neuroplasticity, the brain shapes itself according to repeated experiences. So my argument is, hey, we should be teaching kids regularly, over time, in a systematic way, self-awareness, self-management, empathy, and social skill. And in fact, there are now enough programs, and they've been around enough in schools, that they're about to publish a huge meta-analysis looking at hundreds of schools and kids that had the program versus those that don't. And guess what? All antisocial behavior, disruption in class, violence in school, goes down 10%. Pro-social behavior, liking school, well-behaved, up 10%. Academic achievement scores up 11%. So it really pays. Executive function, which is mediated by the prefrontal lobe, both helps you manage your emotions and helps you pay attention. So as kids learn these skills, they also learn basic learning skills. I think that the fact that that was an argument was one thing that caught people's attention. Then there was a little chapter on called Managing with Heart, which argued that leaders who were sons of a bitch were actually defeating the company's own mission. And I think that made a lot of people happy because they work for people like that. I don't know, some people gave it to other people because they thought they needed help in this domain. I'm sure there's a zillion reasons why people like the book. I know IQ has been going up for 100 years as children encounter a more sophisticated cognitive environment as they grow. I don't know that we're becoming more emotionally intelligent. I like to hope we would, but I think that the number of intergroup wars going on, the intergroup hatred going on, the levels of familial abuse, in other words, indicators of emotions out of control in dangerous ways, don't look that great, which is why I'm a very strong proponent of getting these social emotional learning programs in every school worldwide. You have to remember that emotional intelligence is a range of abilities: self-awareness, emotional self-management, empathy, social skills. Women tend to be better than men on average at empathy, particularly emotional empathy, sensing in the moment how the other person is feeling. And also it's at social skills, at keeping things feeling good between people and a group. Men, on the other hand, tend to be better on average at self-confidence, particularly in groups, and at managing distressing emotions. But what's very interesting is if you look at leaders who are in the top 10%, there's no difference between the men and the women on any of those variables. In other words, you have a whole human being. So I would say that on average, there probably are differences, men and women, in this domain of ability. But as people develop their skills, as people become more effective, they pick up strengths in areas that they need. I think that emotional intelligence is a universal, but it looks different in different places. Japan has a very rigid set of rules of social interaction, lots of subtleties. Americans typically blunder into the Japanese system, don't get what's going on, and it's embarrassing, but they wouldn't recognize necessarily emotional intelligence in Japanese setting. Brazil is a very different culture. It's very outgoing, kind of like an Italian culture, and so it would look different there. But I think the fundamentals are the same.